My name is Chesley Antoinette. I am an artist here in Dallas, Texas, and I hosted a workshop series called The Heart of the Head Wrap in the summer of 2017. What inspired me to host the Heart of the Head Wrap workshop series is my identity towards head wraps. I've been accessorizing with them for over 10 years and became curious about the symbolism associated with the head wrap. I think it's important for people to know the American history behind the head wrap. It is definitely a part of American history as well as Black American history, and I think knowing a little bit more about our history can help us understand how to overcome certain oppositions that may come our way, and looking at a group of women or a group of individuals from our past and seeing how they overcame could really help influence the decisions that we make in life today.
When I first heard about Chesley's idea for the Heart of a Head Wrap workshop, I got unbelievably excited because for me as a young African American female, I had never heard about Detinial Law. I didn't know the significance about head wraps. I didn't know any history about it.
I was very excited that something that was designed to subjugate women, that the women in fact turned it into something to enhance themselves.
They turned it into an art. They took that law and they turned that law into an art, and it's an empowering art. It showed their identity, personal bows, or wearing the hats over them or wearing feathers. So it just took it and they evolved it. They evolved it into themselves.
It was very captivating, to be honest. I think it's fantastic to know where it comes from. Again, oftentimes we may engage in things or activities or do certain things and not know why, but to actually learn the history of it all is pretty phenomenal.
It's fabulous, and it's so like the power of women and that naturally happen.
Hello, I'm Dave Linus. I made this box guitar as a donation to the Duluth Art Institute. And you can see it has a ceramic disc in the sound hole right here of a dog playing guitar, cartoonish sort of painting of a dog. I'm playing through a little homemade guitar amp that I built. Voiced electric. Here's its acoustic sound. See, it's made of boxwood. It's the kind of crate wood that many things came in my youth, up until the advent of the cardboard box. I made everything out of crate wood when I was a kid. This one sports a cedar neck that I've carved, nice sturdy piece of straight grain cedar, and I put a slotted headstock in it. It's a 3-string. That's what I've been liking to play a lot, is a 3-string guitar. As a tailpiece made out of a leaf of a steamer. It has a cedar bridge. It has an Engelmann spruce top, very nice luthier grade Engelmann spruce. It has a Wickenbucker, a humbucker pickup, very thin, slim, matchbook style pickup, hand wound by Marty Tauber. Has a Mike Orr walnut fretboard that I've added these green stripes and mother of pearl inlays, fully fretted. Has a kind of high action because I play with a slide, and that makes it so I can play without whacking into the frets. You can lower the action very easily by just sanding the bottom of the bridge. The top comes off easily with 4 screws and 1 screw to take the tailpiece loose. You don't have to take the strings off to get inside to work on the electronics. If you wanted to add a volume or tone knob for that sort of thing, I just have it wired direct from the pickup to the jack. So that's my guitar. Thank you.
My name is Chesley Antoinette. I am an artist here in Dallas, Texas, and I hosted a workshop series called The Heart of the Head Wrap in the summer of 2017. What inspired me to host the Heart of the Head Wrap workshop series is my identity towards head wraps. I've been accessorizing with them for over 10 years and became curious about the symbolism associated with the head wrap. I think it's important for people to know the American history behind the head wrap. It is definitely a part of American history as well as Black American history, and I think knowing a little bit more about our history can help us understand how to overcome certain oppositions that may come our way, and looking at a group of women or a group of individuals from our past and seeing how they overcame could really help influence the decisions that we make in life today.
When I first heard about Chesley's idea for the Heart of a Head Wrap workshop, I got unbelievably excited because for me as a young African American female, I had never heard about Detinial Law. I didn't know the significance about head wraps. I didn't know any history about it.
I was very excited that something that was designed to subjugate women, that the women in fact turned it into something to enhance themselves.
They turned it into an art. They took that law and they turned that law into an art, and it's an empowering art. It showed their identity, personal bows, or wearing the hats over them or wearing feathers. So it just took it and they evolved it. They evolved it into themselves.
It was very captivating, to be honest. I think it's fantastic to know where it comes from. Again, oftentimes we may engage in things or activities or do certain things and not know why, but to actually learn the history of it all is pretty phenomenal.
It's fabulous, and it's so like the power of women and that naturally happen.
Hello, I'm Dave Linus. I made this box guitar as a donation to the Duluth Art Institute. And you can see it has a ceramic disc in the sound hole right here of a dog playing guitar, cartoonish sort of painting of a dog. I'm playing through a little homemade guitar amp that I built. Voiced electric. Here's its acoustic sound. See, it's made of boxwood. It's the kind of crate wood that many things came in my youth, up until the advent of the cardboard box. I made everything out of crate wood when I was a kid. This one sports a cedar neck that I've carved, nice sturdy piece of straight grain cedar, and I put a slotted headstock in it. It's a 3-string. That's what I've been liking to play a lot, is a 3-string guitar. As a tailpiece made out of a leaf of a steamer, it has a cedar bridge. It has an Engelmann spruce top, very nice luthier grade Engelmann spruce. It has a wicked bucker, a humbucker pickup, very thin, slim, matchbook style pickup, hand wound by Marty Tauber. Has a Mike Orr walnut fretboard that I've added these green stripes and mother of pearl inlays, fully fretted. Has a kind of high action because I play with the slide. And that makes it so I can play without whacking into the frets. You can lower the action very easily by just sanding the bottom of the bridge The top comes off easily with 4 screws and 1 screw to take the tailpiece loose. You don't have to take the strings off to get inside to work on the electronics if you wanted to add a volume or tone knob for that sort of thing. I just have it wired direct from the pickup to the jack. So that's my guitar. Thank you.
Buju, Anamakikwe Indishnaka, Makwa Indodam, Onamani Zaga Aganig, Miniwa Masabikang Indunjaba. Welcome. I am also known as Christina Woods. I just introduced myself to you in Anishinaabe-Mowin. I serve the Duluth Art Institute as its executive director, and I'm here to welcome you and thank you for choosing our event tonight. I would like to share that we are airing tonight's event from the 1854 ceded territory of the Anishinaabe. You know, moving right into our program, I wanted to open with, again, that these times, as we hear over and over, that we are in, are certainly challenging the way we always do things. We're excited and cautious tonight about streaming our first ever online event. And I'm hoping that each of you will forgive and understand any kind of technical difficulty that we have. This is a whole new way of engaging you and creating a sense of community. The DAI staff is working hard behind the scenes, directing, running the tech, and responding to your comments. So please comment throughout the evening. We want to hear from you. Also, watch those silent auction items and those drawings. We have 3 drawings for very special items this evening. We appreciate the support you show for the Duluth Art Institute, and we need your help to do more in our community. I want to talk a little bit just about the bidding. It's easy. Find an item that you love and bid. Once you bid, you'll be notified if you're outbid, and then bid again. Don't hesitate to scroll down to our many fabulous items during our program and continue bidding. You won't miss a thing, as the auction will be visible during the entire program. Tonight, We hope to entertain and inspire you as we celebrate the arts. And we are first going to hear from Chesley Antoinette. Chesley is a fiber artist living in Texas. She actually found the Duluth Art Institute and submitted her work for exhibition. The Duluth Art Institute panel selected her submission, and here she is today. Her art can be viewed on our online platform called Smartify, and we anticipate bringing her large-scale photographs of beautiful women in stylish head wraps to the Duluth Art Institute this spring. Chesley is just about ready to start her presentation. You don't need to go anywhere. It will stream right here. After you are wowed by Chesley, we'll go right into our program for the evening with Robin Washington and Ramona Moroses as your MCs. Be sure to watch the auction. And we are ready to go. I'm certain you will be moved by Chesley Antoinette and her message about the power of art to make change for the better. I'll see you a bit later in the program.
Good evening, everybody. I am so grateful to be sharing the Detinial project that I began in 2017 through workshops and lectures, and later on into a visual exhibition. And now with the support of the Duluth Art Institute, a virtual exhibition, making it even more possible to reach a wider audience. So be sure to check out the virtual exhibition via Smartify. A little bit about myself. After styling myself with head wraps for so many years, I became interested in learning about the history along with the symbolisms related to the head wrap. That led me to a law that took place in the 18th century, before America was America, in the New World, Louisiana, that forced women of African descent to wear a head wrap when in public. As an artist, I am interested in the narratives of objects, particularly accessories. And the narratives of objects depend on the materials, along with their original purpose and present purpose and any other purpose in between. Combined creates layers of information that can be narrated into an interesting story. So what many refer to as the head wrapping law took place in 1786 in New Orleans, Louisiana. It was called Detinial Law. Detinial is French for cloth or handkerchief. The law was an edict of good government for all women of African descent to cover their head with a cloth. Its objective was meant to oppress free women of color, with a particular focus on beauty and their mobility. Context plays a huge role in understanding and developing conclusions about past and present events. As you are already aware, interpretations of symbolisms will differ from culture to culture and person to person. I use context as a major material source in narrating a story that often offers insight into the Detinial Law. I've based the remaining of my presentation in sharing that context and leaving it to you to develop your own conclusions. In order to really understand the intentions behind the desire to oppress through the Detinial Law, I have to start at the beginning of the story. If I started with the law was first announced, I'd be 3/4 into the story. And if you're going to develop an opinion, at least know as much, if not all, context surrounding the whole story first. The head wrapping law that took place in 1786, New Orleans, and I say that because that is where the story begins. However, it's for all of Louisiana. Louisiana was first founded by the French in 1699 as a small military post. Population grew with the founding of New Orleans in 1718. The first slave ship arrived in 1719 by the French for the purpose of plantation agriculture. Senegal, a region in West Africa, supplied 2/3 of the Louisiana African slaves during the French slave trade, which was between 1719 to 1731. with exception to one shipment in 1743, St. Ursa, containing 190 slaves. In total, 22 ships with about 6,000 slaves made up the French slave trade. All women came from the coast of Senegal, were probably most likely from the Wolof tribe of Senegal in Louisiana as slaves. Wolof women played the most crucial role in forming and passing on Louisiana Creole culture. Two main reasons. They arrived first and largely birthed the first generation of Louisiana Creoles of all statuses, as wives, concubines, mothers, workers, and entrepreneurs. The first generation became fully developed between 1770 to 1803. French officials testified to the beauty, intelligence, and the remarkable adaptability of the Wolof women. They were lustrous, very dark-skinned, and elegantly dressed. Spain, France, and Britain competed throughout the 18th century for the region, the border, the Northern Gulf. Pensacola was founded first by the Spanish in 1698. Now, because of the 7-Year War that led to the 1763 Treaty of Paris, France was at war with the British Empire over territory in North America, Canada area, and some Caribbean islands. The treaty resulted everything west of the Mississippi River in the Louisiana Territory ceded to the Spanish and east to Britain. Strategically, France gave administrative control of Louisiana to the Spanish, Spain. All three ports remained governed by their founders until the Treaty of Paris of 1763, which resulted in until 1780 when the Spanish captured the ports of Mobile and Pensacola and remained that way until the cession to the United States. Just to be visually clear on what Louisiana Territory consists of from an 18th century geography standpoint, we are talking about the largest acquisition of territory that formed the United States about 1/3 under the Thomas Jefferson administration. For labor, both countries, France and Spain, imported Black people as slaves to build the infrastructure and grow the food. Now, taking into consideration the difficulty of persuasion of white Europeans and the importation of Black people created a demographic imbalanced population. First off, Louisiana's population was first mainly Native American, with a small and diverse group of Europeans. In 1729, there was an alliance with the Natchez Indians and African slaves, 10 years after the first slave ship arrived. Together, they wiped out 10% of the surviving French population, and that was among those who were survivors of disease, starvation, massacred, and abandonment. Louisiana, after 1729, left behind a huge majority of Africans and French settlements, infrastructures. So Africans were the majority in the earliest stages of colonization. Another factor in this majority was also because the economy was based on subsistent farming, meaning families only were able to grow enough for themselves to eat, and trade that included clay, lumber, and deer hides. It was face-to-face networks that helped the white Europeans and African slaves survive, because the plantation agriculture was not consistent with their earlier efforts to grow indigo, sugarcane, tobacco, or rice. The best population information is from 1788, which is 2 years past the year of the Detinial Law of 1786. But nevertheless, it offers great context into understanding the intentions behind the law. So, population in New Orleans under Spanish colonization in 1788 totaled 5,321 people. And as you can see on the graph, it's broken down. White Europeans is a little over 2,300 people. Free people of color make up 820, and slaves a little over 2,100. Sex ratio, the ultimate perspective. White population sex ratio, 68:1. So there were 68 women for every 100 men. As you can see, there were more white European men than there were white European women. Free people of color sex ratio, 677:1. 677 free women of color for every 100 free black men. Clearly, there are more free women of color than there are free black men. In conclusion, the population encouraged white men, free and slave women of color to cohabitate. So, when the Spanish arrived in New Orleans in 1768, Louisiana had a diverse population of people, with a fast-growing population of racially mixed people, free people of color. In Spanish New Orleans, free blacks interacted frequently with slaves as well as whites at work and at play in the streets, markets, homes, religious institutions, and occasionally married them. It was the writings of John Latrobe, among others, that King Charles III of Spain read about the social atmosphere of the blurring population happening in the New World, Louisiana. Now, I need to mention that there was contradictory policies happening within the Spanish New World government. Their desire didn't always match up with the policy outcomes. As they say, there's nothing new under the sun. First off, class order. You had white Europeans at the top. Secondly, Creoles and racially mixed people. Third, free people of color. And fourth, slave blacks and African descendants. There were a few ways in which black slaves became a part of the free people of color population before the process of abolition of slavery. Remember, I mentioned the 1763 Paris Treaty? As a result from the 7-Year War between Great Britain and France that led to the relief of administrative control of Louisiana from France to Spain. French colonials were financially suffering as they had to contribute taxes for a costly war, which resulted in many unable to afford not just themselves, but also their families, material possessions, and slaves back to France or nearby French colonies in America. So some slaves went to France, some to nearby colonies in America, some sold to Spanish colonials, and others freed or forgotten by their owners. Another way to become free, coiffation, a practice rooted in Roman philosophy, allowing a slave to buy their freedom from their master legally. Once freed, people of color could accept donations from living and dead white Europeans. And this, of course, was available for those who had allies. And lastly, concubinage, an interracial marriage with white Europeans also led to freedom. So, all of this cultural diversity happening, King Charles III of Spain appoints Esteban Miro as governor of Louisiana in 1786. Miro, as governor, like any government official who is appointed or elected, gives a speech during their inauguration. During Governor Miro's speech, he talks about his concerns with the immorality of behavior and the appearance of free women of color. He wanted these women to abandon their licentious ways. In fact, his wife was responsible for pressuring her husband to take action, as it was becoming more and more customary for white Europeans to have women of color mistresses, which ideally upset the wives, fiancées, sisters, and mothers of these men. In addition, Governor Miro felt their extravagant luxury dresses were excessive. He also talked about reestablishing distinctions that manifest to their headdress. In all, they were to cover their hair with a scarf as formerly custom. In all, Spain wanted to protect their identities. They believed in the purity of blood, limpieza sangre, which began during the Spanish Inquisition and later incorporated into the New World colonies for the purpose to protect the hierarchical social system and reinforce distribution of property. So, with the demographic population imbalance, less white European women in comparison to free women of color, the ability for slaves to become free and inherit wealth, open relationships with free women and slave women as mistresses and marriage, King Charles III of Spain felt there was way too much immorality, especially the growing population of, quote, mulattoes. Mulattoes is a social construct describing mixed race that consists of a person being half black and half white. It is considered a derogatory term in North America. However, it is still used openly in French and South American cultures with no ill intentions. To help satisfy King Charles III's issues with, quote, immorality, first came a revision of the Code Noir, the Black Code, originally developed by the French to help maintain control of the slave population in the Caribbean. In 1777, the Spanish made a revision that forbade concubinage, and any children produced would have a monetary fine to pay or be physically confiscated. Spanish law legislated boundaries between race and statuses by making it difficult for whites to marry non-whites. An example of legislation that was codified was the Royal Pragmatic, issued by the Crown in 1776, that restricted marriage choice and prevented unequal alliances. Spanish required all persons under the age of 25 to obtain parental permission to marry and exempted blacks because it was assumed that they were illegitimate or did not know who their parents were. Again, the Spanish wanted to protect their cultural identities. Governor Miro believed that social status was expressed through clothing attire. In addition to Governor Miro's edict, Spanish law also prohibited women of color from wearing silk, gold, silver, pearl jewelry, slippers. They couldn't even own canopy beds or sit on rugs or cushions while attending church. In 1742, Maria Teresa Coin was born a slave in the household of Natchitoches founder Louis Giroux de Saint-Denis. Saint-Denis later leased the 26-year-old Marie Teresa as a housekeeper to a young French merchant named Claude Thomas Pierre Metoyer. A 19-year relationship ensued, resulting in 10 children. Eventually, Metoyer purchased Marie Teresa and several of their children, giving them their freedom. With her freedom, a yearly allowance and a parcel of land was given by Metoyer. Once freed, it was no longer illegal, beginning in 1769 under Spanish law, for people of color to receive intra vivos, living, and morte causae, dead, donations from whites. Cohabitation that mostly benefited the white European man during the earliest years of settlement, now more openly and directly benefited the African cohabitants and their racially mixed children. Now, even though Governor Miro announces the Detinial Law during his speech, there is no evidence of it ever being enforced, such as court documents or writings indicating punishments. Researchers believe that it was a completely symbolic ploy. The head wrap was a form of symbolism that had ties to slavery. The head wrap was associated with work. Governor Miro felt that the enforcement of the head wrap would visibly and symbolically provide a lower social status associated with slavery. Miro felt that social order was threatened by the free women of color, especially those who were very light-skinned and freely competed with white women. However, free women of color adopted the habit of wearing a head wrap as a form of rebellion. That became a mark of distinction of their race, their status, and their gender. Governor Miro had some oversight in this situation, such as the economic status. The free women of color bought a variety of fabrics. The typical fabric was cotton broadcloth, calico, and muslin. While silks and other expensive fabrics were popular, they were not preferred for the Detinial tying, as silk would slide off the head and was difficult to tie. A little history about fabric. The shipping of cotton particularly was controlled by the British, who sent cotton to the town of Picaya in the British-controlled colony of India. Once in Picaya, the cotton was spun into cloth, and cloth was then sent to the nearby town of Madras to be dyed with banana fiber leaves. The cloth could also be sent to St. Dominica, Haiti, to be dyed and decorated. After dyeing, the finished cloth was transported to the French West Indies, where it was made its way to the colonies. The free women of color not only had economic power, they also had leisurely time to be creative. They would artfully knot, drape, wrap, toss, tuck, tie, and pin these decorative cottons and silks around their head, and would take another step forward and enhance their head wraps with feathers and jewels. In New World, Louisiana, the head wrap bound these women together as an act of defiance. So for me personally, when I think about the Detinial of 1786 law, it represents the beauty and the creativity of women who use the head wrap as a symbol of rebellion. This concludes my presentation. Here's a selection of recommended reads. The Image of Blacks in Western Art. In total, there's about 7, maybe 8 volumes. It was a project that began by John and Dominique DeMille of the Menil Museum Collection in Houston, Texas, during the Civil Rights Movement, as a way to counter stereotypical images of Black people in American and European popular art by showcasing the inclusion of Black figures for over a millennia. Dominique Menil died during the project, and it was later taken over and published by the Harvard under the leadership of W.E. Du Bois Institute of African and African American Studies, along with the Warburg Institute at the University of London. Secondly, I recommend The Devil's Lane, Sex, Race, in the Early South. It is a contemplation of essays by many different scholars offering great insight to individual stories during the colonial period. I particularly enjoy this book for the vast amount of citations that offer the ability to further your research. And lastly, Africans in Colonial Louisiana, Development of Afro-Creole Culture in the 18th Century by Gwendolyn Hall, an absolute must when referencing colonial Louisiana culture. Thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening learning a little bit of history with me. May your evening go well. Thank you.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Robin Washington, president of the board of the Duluth Art Institute Board of Directors. I'm delighted to be spending the evening with you here virtually. This is my second year as your MC, and those of you who were here last year or who were at the event in person last year will definitely remember it, or at least remember Marilyn. Ramona?
Hello, Robin. I definitely remember Marilyn. And hello, everybody. My name is Ramona Moroses. I'm a journalist in Duluth. I am so honored to be here to be your co-MC for the evening. I'm also a major lover of the Duluth Art Institute, and we will be with you all night, so be sure to stick around. Our sponsors this evening are Krenzen Auto Mall, Vikra Distillery, Love Creamery, Duluth Pottery, and London Rain Color Salon. Chesley was amazing, and she really illuminated a little-known instance of empowerment through art. So that inspires me to join Chesley to learn more about tying head wraps. I have mine right here that I'm so ready to learn how to tie. And we can do that right here. There are an unlimited number of $30 tickets to watch her presentation tonight at 7:30. So that's why I said stick around, and then we can see how they all look when we're all done.
All right. Well, you're not going to see mine because I didn't bring one, but you are right. You can still upgrade your ticket to participate in the 30-minute Heart of the Head Wrap workshop led here by Chesley following this program. Just open up a second browser, you know how these things work, and go to duluthartinstitute.org and click on the big red upgrade button. Check out the auction below us and be sure to bid. We're here tonight to support the Duluth Art Institute in its mission. We hope to raise $50,000 to support our various activities, including repairs to the historic and very well used and very loved Lincoln Park building, as well as raise operating support for the DAI in the many myriad ways that the Duluth Art Institute serves our artists in the community, as well as those enriched by their work.
And a few logistics for tonight. So as you're watching us here, don't forget you can bid on the items. And also we have a really fun live chat going on right now at the auction site. So remember, you can bid on the items while watching the program. You can also see the donation tab and watch our local amount raised together. All funneling into the causes that the Duluth Art Institute supports every day, every year. We're gonna get about a little bit into the history of the Institute in a moment. But I just want to say tonight you will hear about the direction of the Duluth Art Institute by Executive Director Christina Woods, especially in these trying times. I am extremely impressed with how the Institute has continued to serve the public. But first, Robin. Okay, now let's talk about that history. Can you share a little bit about what the Institute does in and around this community?
All right. Well, Ramona, we have no end of amazing artistic experiences. You know that, right?
Well, I know, yes, I know that you have 2 buildings and a lot of art.
Right, that's right. We need at least 2 buildings to fit it all in there. And I say that means you probably know more, though, than really I did when I first joined the board. I thought this was another art museum or something like that, and little did I know. Everybody knows we're in the Depot downtown, or if you don't know that, you should be. And but we also have the Lincoln Park building, where we not only hold many of our classes, but we have one of the few, and I mean few, gas-fired kilns in the region. By the way, its name is Merlin.
Like a wizard?
Artists say it works like magic. So if you know what you're doing, you make it work for you.
Okay, well, you mentioned classes. Are they still going on, especially during the pandemic and everything?
So that's why Al Gore invented the internet, you know, so that we have, actually, we won't get any more political than that. We won't say whether or not he anticipated COVID, which is very serious, obviously. But seriously, the courses can continue through the magic of what we're doing right now. And by the way, that means that they're open to anyone, anywhere, just like our viewers right now.
Well, what's the most popular activity?
So going back downtown, see, this is beautiful because it's virtual. I can take you to Lincoln Park. I can bring you back downtown. That would clearly be our annual members show, which is our most popular activity. It features talented local artists. One that comes to mind all the time to me is Edie Mikowski. She's one of the People's Choice favorites, which means she has a lot of talent. People vote on it and say, yeah, she's really good. And then it's open to everybody else, like yours truly, who may not be as naturally talented.
You cannot be that bad, Robin. You're the son of an artist.
Actually, one of my mother's work is right behind me, but I could try very hard to be, maybe I have. I can be unusually not as good as my mother. How about that? But since we were talking about that members show, I actually happen to have, how convenient, a work that I did do, sitting right here behind me. Had no idea how it got there. Now, this is a painting. And you can say, well, it's a nice amateur painting, right? But it's also a stuffed animal named Pandy. He's a red panda, right? Yeah, this is in the more than you wanted to know category. And it goes with an old shoe of mine. And so it is Pandy. The entire thing is an installation. You can do these things at the Duluth Art Institute. You don't just have to do a painting. And so the installation altogether is called Pandy and My Shoe. And in the words of Krista Lawler from the News Tribune, who confronted me upon seeing this in a pre-show, it said the words, "What is this?" But it indeed is an installation showing the creativity that you too can do to keep me from doing it.
Well, people might not even know about you that you had a pet ocelot growing up, and I think that is the coolest thing ever. And so we know you're an animal lover, but if anybody does want to bid on that, you can message Robin privately.
With all actually modesty or something like that, if somebody wanted a painting of their stuffed animal doing something interesting, I would be more than happy to do that for them. So, but the bidding on the real art is happening and it is open.
That is right. And we have everything from a ceramics table to a night on the town to a ride on a seaplane to a whiskey tasting with attorney Steve Riles. Sounds, and I want that one, so everybody better leave me that one. Just kidding.
Right, sorry. So I have it that the person who's behind the curtain, by the way, running this production, wants the seaplane package, which is one of our major items. But she's going to be wrapped up putting this thing together. So if you're interested in bidding on it, she won't get a chance.
Well, I have always wanted to go on a seaplane, Robin.
All right. And if you're just joining us or you're lost on the internet and you want to know what in the world are you watching, you're watching the Duluth Art Institute Virtual Gala coming to you from more or less Duluth, but all over the place, a lot of places. We're hosting it from our homes and participants are joining us from around the country, as Chesley is.
Ooh, I want to give a shout out to my dad who is tuning in from Rochester, Minnesota, my mom from Brooklyn Park, Minnesota as well. So we got family sprawled out. That's what's such a blessing about doing this virtual gala tonight is that people from across the world can tune in right here. So I love it. It's a perk.
Right. So you were asking a bit about the history and we've been around for 114 years. So if you've been anywhere in the world, there's a good chance you know something about Duluth and you've had time to hear about us. By the way, Daniel Gracelone was an early member.
He was?
Well, maybe not. And it was interesting hearing some of the history of the French in this continent. But seriously, we are the oldest arts institution in Duluth. And if anyone is interested in is anyone going through the trials of COVID-19 today? We have experience with it. The DAI weathered through the flu pandemic of 1918, through both world wars. Most of that was through our exhibitions. But early on, the Institute realized the value of holding art classes and events as a way of dealing with whatever was going on in the society at the time, good and bad.
And that is amazing to me. Such a rich history. And that continues today, weathering through the difficult times, these current times. I want to reintroduce Executive Director Christina Woods to give us an idea of just a few offerings that the DAI has to our community. Christina.
Hi, I am so happy to be back. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Well, the DAI has been very busy pivoting what we're able to do after being flung into a pandemic, and then also wanting to respond to the reactions and the reality of the social injustice that we're finally seeing being brought to the forefront by more than just Black and brown people. So we have been very busy helping artists and helping our community sort of lean into these topics. One of the ways that we have done that is we have an anti-bias curriculum called Commission Your Bias. And I've been able to present this on a national level and also with organizations within the Duluth region and our area, where people are given an opportunity to really look at how unconscious bias is affecting them and how it's impacting our neighbors who don't have as much privilege in finding work or gaining education and struggle through some of these other challenges that the murder of George Floyd has really brought to our attention. So that's really a wonderful offering that we have to use art in a way to help people understand themselves and each other even better. I also want to talk about a new page on our website to support artists in our region. We have two really amazing ways that you can help support artists. We have a Bypoc artist page. This is becoming part of a larger project that is a statewide project where we are making space for artists that identify as Black, Indigenous, and people of color so that they have access to calls for art and opportunities statewide to get their art moving around and get their absent narratives seen and told. And this is really important. Traditionally, galleries and institutes have focused largely on people who are typically white, and they get their art in and it's seen, and they benefit from moving into sometimes even great economic support. And so we want to help BIPOC artists get their work seen and get their stories told. We also have another way to support artists. It's called Art in Bloom. This is an online platform for buying art. And we kind of tout it as don't buy flowers, buy art. So what we want people to do is go to our website, go to Art in Bloom, look through all the art offerings, and you'll find beautifully curated art available from $20 to $150. And you can send it. You'll work directly with the artist. The artist gets 100% of the commission. And it's really a great way for artists who are choosing to participate in that to add some income.
That's amazing.
Gosh, there's so much happening. I could just go on and on and on. Robin, is there anything you want me to mention? What am I missing?
I thought you were going to say something a bit about the ceramic studio. And maybe a particular.
Yeah. So we actually have a wonderful mission-based auction item available for you this evening. The Duluth Art Institute hosts a ceramic studio inside the Lincoln Park building, and the ceramicists that work out of this studio have donated pieces of art. Actually, they didn't. We're actually paying them tonight because that's important too. So we are paying our ceramicists to have pieces in this collection. So when you buy this collection, you're paying artists for their work. It is a 4-piece table setting, and it's more than just plates. It's drinking vessels. It's serving things that you can serve food on. It is so beautiful. You can find it in our auction items, and there's a beautiful picture there. There's quite a few pictures. We're highlighting in this collection ceramicists Rita Morris, Craig Bruce, our own Bob DeArmond, who used to be the executive director of the Duluth Art Institute, and now he's our clay studio manager, and it's wonderful. Karen Keenan, Ray Shelrud. I know I'm missing someone. You'll have to go and look and read all the names on the bid page, because their work is beautiful and it really represents the amazing talent that we have right here in Duluth, Minnesota. You don't have to go far to get high quality, high-end fine art. It's right here.
You mean people who do something other than stuffed animal art, right? And I'm impressed that you said ceramicist about 3 times, because even in our board meetings, we have trouble pronouncing that one. So we are very impressed with our ceramicists. And I would seriously go back to what I said about the kiln. It's not just that we have a wonderful kiln named Merlin. It is a vehicle through which these people can make a living doing art, doing very, very good art. That you can participate in. So tonight, I encourage you to participate in a way that is meaningful to you personally. Perhaps that's by bidding on these many fabulous auction items, as we just suggested one, or making a donation to the Duluth Art Institute through the Fund a Need campaign. And you can get an idea of some of the things that need to be funded. However you may be inspired tonight, I hope you know that together we can make this difference. And tonight we do have a goal of raising $50,000. Bidding on auction items will close at 9 p.m. After this virtual program ends, so make sure you bid high and bid often. If you're the winning bidder, you will receive detailed instructions on how to get your items. And once again, if you're participating from across the country, we will ship those items to you. We're pleased to announce someone's going to help us a great deal on this bidding, Andy Ipold. He is our auctioneer. He works with Inflatable Advancement, who I've known a long time as a premier auctioneer for nonprofits in Minnesota. In fact, Inflatable Advancement, and I know them so well, I can pronounce their name. Inflatable Advancement has grown into one of the largest benefit auction companies in the nation. That means with the entire Inflatable Advancement team, Andy considers it a privilege to have helped nearly 290 nonprofit organizations raise more than $36 million in 2019. So please welcome Andy in his auctioneering.
Great, awesome. Well, I am so excited to be here. When I got the call to do this event, as I began to research more and more about the great work that your organization does, Robin, that everybody on this call is doing, it really meant a lot to me. Growing up, I'm a graphic designer by trade. That's what I went to school for, but I do auctions on the side and I help raise money for much needed groups, just like you said. But I love art, and facilities like what you have and the work that you do is so special. And I know Duluth is it's amazing to have that available. So I'm excited to be here tonight. We are going to be doing some bidding tonight on our virtual platform until 9 p.m. is when the bidding is going to close tonight. But we want to highlight a few of the premier items. There's a few items on that site, but we wanted to highlight a couple of them. Christina, are you available? Are you up and ready to run through these with me?
I think so. Am I on camera? Oh, yes,
right.
I'm here. Yes.
Perfect. All right. Hey, it's working, guys. This is going to be great. We have got some awesome items. Like I said, go, look at the items. You can bid until 9 p.m. tonight. And please participate. Get those bids in, bid early and bid often. That's what I always like to say in these type of events. However, we also I want to highlight some really fun items. And right off the bat, I'm going to kind of introduce the item. Christina's going to give you kind of the lowdown on these items because she knows them and loves them. And you're probably going to be bidding against her most of the night, if I had to guess. Isn't that right? Yes. You heard Chesley speak earlier tonight, and she has 3 amazing prints, Feliciana, Livonia, and Lafayette, that she has donated to our fundraising efforts tonight. Just it sounds like these are you heard her. You stick around. You're gonna get to see her. But that $30 ticket, you're gonna get to see her seminar. But Christina, these look like awesome prints.
They are. They're archival and they are very special. And this is another way that we support artists, and we actually paid Chesley for these prints because we feel very strongly if an artist chooses to donate, that's great, but we want to pay our artists. This, especially now in these times, artists are hit so hard by the pandemic, not being able to have their regular platforms for selling art at markets and other ways. For a long time, our galleries were closed, and that also meant no sale of art. And so it's really, really important to show your support tonight and bid up as much as you can. And like I said, a number of these art items, we are paying our artists for them. And so I think that's really important.
It's like you're donating twice, Christina. Yeah. Like because you guys you paid the artists, and now we can then resell it. And so when you're donating, you're supporting artists, plus then you're supporting us as well. It's an awesome opportunity. In fact, our second item is another print. It's the Chuling Taha print. It's an archival print of original Chuling Taha painting, as I understand. Another beautiful art piece.
So, and I apologize to correct you, Andy, but it's Choling.
Choling.
And Choling
Excuse me.
is a wonderful friend of the Duluth Art Institute, and she actually did donate this, and she's also donating shipping. So I am just so honored. I'm honored to have a piece from Choling. She does amazing work that retells the stories of so many of our indigenous traditional ways of being. And what I say ways of being, because we are trying so hard collectively within and outside of all of our communities to find a way to connect, to find a way to be centered, to find our new way of being, trying to see each other, trying to understand perspectives outside of what might be within our norm. Choling has been doing this work for a long time. It is usually work that she creates on shawls. This particular piece, The Teacher, is about Handsome Lake, and he is a prominent figure in Indigenous history. And it is really a timeless piece that you are going to love having in your home. It brings tears to my eyes. I love this piece so much.
Awesome. That's so great to hear. Thank you for sharing that. Like I said, I after hearing Christina talk about these things, you're going to be bidding against her as soon as she gets off the stream. She's going to be bidding against you. She's super excited, and we're all super excited for these amazing. And this being a donation as well. Awesome. Just awesome. All right. So our third item we want to highlight is the new curated ceramic table setting collection from the DAI Ceramic Studio. Celebrate local art while styling your table with these unique place settings, or create a personal moments of revelry throughout your day. This is a huge 15-piece collection. Isn't that right, Christina?
Yes. I could go on and on. How much time do we have? This is such an amazing offering. It is the first time that we have curated a collection from our ceramicists to offer in one piece. It makes it a very expensive piece, but we really wanted to highlight not only the talent of our ceramicists, but also how collaborative our community at the DAI is. This really represents the collaboration and community that lives within our ceramic studio. We have such expert artists. They mentor our newer artists that come into the studio. They help they help each other build themselves both artistically within their disciplines, learn new things, and how to run a business. Most of these artists in this collection, this is their livelihood. This is what they do for their livelihood. And so it's a bit spendy. It is valued at $2,000. This is an amazing collection. And if somebody gets it for $400, that's the steal of the day. And again, this is our mission auction item. This represents the mission of the Duluth Art Institute. So somebody bid on it, throw that $400 at it. You are not going to regret it. I'm even offering to deliver this within 3 hours of Duluth. And then outside of that, we'll have to figure out some shipping arrangements because it's heavy. But it is beautiful. Beautiful.
Wow. Well, and to have a personally curated collection like that, like you're talking about, and to have all those ceramicists, is that correct? Did I say that right? I know that you said it. I wasn't even ready to say it, and then Robin commented on how specifically difficult it is to say. To have that pulled together, I mean, it'll be a collection. This collection is so. You will never see this collection like this pulled together again. It will, if ever we do another collection, it will never be this one. That's how special this is.
And I think Christina will also come and give you personal lessons on how to save ceramicists.
Yes.
Outstanding. All right, so we're going to jump to auction item number 4, and that's the whiskey tasting and food pairings with Steve Riles. Arouse your senses with several styles of whiskey with robust histories included. Steve will personally pair each whiskey with an appetizer to enhance the experience. I don't know Steve, but he sounds like a lot of fun. That's all I got to say.
Yes, and I apologize. I had a little itch on my ear, and I forget sometimes I'm on camera.
No.
We're
doing it live, folks. This is not rehearsed.
I attended this last year, and it was phenomenal. Steve pulled together the best party that I've been to in a long time. He held it at a restaurant in Duluth. Sometimes this is held at his house. He doesn't really tell us. He just says, hey, I'm going to do this again. Steve has traveled all over Ireland and Scotland and visited the oldest distilleries. He has all the history. This is his hobby. He goes there and spends a lot of time. He has close friends that he visits. He is a connoisseur and expert. And his delivery of the information about whiskey and how it's distilled and how it comes together is so amazing. Then he wraps it into pairings of food. So he'll bring food along with each of the whiskeys that you're going to sample and talk about how the food pairs with it. Last year, he had a person playing the bagpipes, and he had a woman whose son actually participates in a lot of our arts programming under the Birkenstein Art Movement. We'll talk about that a little later. She is a Scottish dancer, and so he had her and bagpipe music and himself. He's very entertaining. It is a wonderful, wonderful night.
Oh.
Wonderful night.
Sounds like a real hoot, like just a super fun time. Like this is so up my alley. I don't need wine taste testings. I'm not a microbrew guy, but a whiskey and food pairings, that just sounds like a really fun night. Just like there's just so much that goes into that. The flavors, oh man.
Andy,
there's going to be one lucky bidder, and they may have to outbid me. That's all I got to say.
I want to just jump in and say, I mean, you're from the Twin Cities. You don't have to be from Duluth. You're going to come to Duluth anyway and visit us. You're going to come to Duluth to see the North Shore. Steve's going to call you on the phone and work that out with you. And you're going to work out a plan. You can bring other people. What is this for 6? It was for 10 last year, but I think it's for 6 this year because of the COVID regulations.
Sure, absolutely. Totally understand.
Work it out with you, and he's going to ask you what you want. This is so personalized and so amazing.
Awesome. Oh man, that sounds great. You got to get your bids in soon. I recommend bidding before I'm done in about 20 minutes, because then I'm going to buy it away from you. So get your bids in right now. That's what I recommend. That sounds like so much fun.
Are we going to talk about the Jim Brandenburg photo?
I think we should. That's my last item I want to talk about. Now, I understand the only thing better than one Brandenburg is 2. And so we've got Jim and his son, Anthony, both who are Anthony, who, while Jim is known for traveling the world for over 3 decades with National Geographic as a National Geographic photographer, Anthony is as well as an artist. And we've got something special, it sounds like.
We do. We have 2 40-inch wide prints. One of Jim's photo and one of Anthony's photo. And I can't be more honored than to know that the Brandenburgs support the Duluth Art Institute. They are world-known artists, photographers, and Anthony reached out to me and asked, can we donate these to your auction? We want to help the Duluth Art Institute reach their goal, and we want to give these to you to put in your auction. And it's just an incredible honor, and what a great friendship to have. I love both these. I haven't seen them in person. I have not opened the packages. The images that you see on our bid site just wow me. It feels transcendent. It feels calming. That birch one, I want so bad. My Anishinaabe name is Thunderbird Lady, and the Thunderbird has a lot to do with birch trees, and I really I'm looking forward to having that one in my home if I'm not outbid.
Outstanding. That's just so awesome. I mean, I'm just, yeah. I mean, the collection of items that we had, and ladies and gentlemen, and friends, everyone who's watching, we just want you to understand that we have only had time to highlight like 5 items, and even then we did 2 photos here and 3 prints there, and tried to get as many as we could in. You gotta check out the site and get your bidding in by 9 p.m. when this auction closes. Amazing items, the only place you can find them right here tonight. We're so glad you're with us, so keep those bids coming in. I think that is what we have for our live auction, or for our premier auction item focus.
Hey, Andy, we have an update on our meter here. It looks like we're at 28,000, and we want to get to 50,000 tonight. We do. Do you want to tell them just a little bit about what we're kind of doing here tonight? And then we can kind of tag team this, but I'd love to have you kind of just for a little bit, share just a little bit of why that 50,000 is important to you. So the first, well, let me just start with the 30,000 that I really want to see happen tonight is going to go towards the Lincoln Park building. We have a lot of immediate repairs that need to happen there, and this will really help us. It's not going to get everything done, but it's going to certainly help us. We have the security company call us every so often because we have pigeons that fly in through the windows because the glass is cracked. And they're so aggressive, they poke through the plastic. So we need some repairs there. And we also need to repair our grand front entry stairs. And that is really the 2 main things that we're trying to knock off the to-do list in this historic, beautiful building.
Awesome.
The other portion is really for operating costs. We have programming we want to bring back. We have a lot of things we want to reintroduce on all these new platforms. For instance, we have the Smartify platform. We need to pay for that. This is an online gallery platform that's used by the Louvre and MoMA, the Institute of Chicago. We are on it. We're very lucky to be on it. We're a small organization, but we need to afford this platform so we can continue to make art accessible to our community, beyond our community, and to have our artists be seen. Yeah, this is a really important moment. This part of the night, we do want everyone to come together, and I said early on that it was an important part of my growing up, and so much. I grew up in central Minnesota, and I went to school for graphic design. I went because of my love for art. I wanted to do something where I could be creative every day. And it is and that is only because of the environment I was raised in that treasured art. And that's what we are trying to support here tonight. With your help, art gives us a window to help us even process what's happening now around us in the world. This is a very special moment and a special night, but we can't do it without you. And in fact, we're excited because along with these repairs and everything, just hearing about this, we had a number of donors we were going to highlight throughout the next few minutes who've already come forward to help us out tonight. And it's truly incredible when different businesses and companies and individuals come together because they know how important what we do is. And so with your help, we're going to keep on trying to raise some money to make this happen. So tonight, our very first level, if you can give tonight, and you want to really
really put a sign in the ground. You put your foot down and say, I want to make these windows happen. I want to make sure the Lincoln Park building's up and going. That's the $10,000 level. If you can give a $10,000 level, you're going to be helping with the window repair like we're talking about. We're talking this room houses 40 artist ceramic studio, print studio. It sees approximately 1,200 youth a year in classes, the type of classes I took as a kid that made me want to spend my life doing art. And as I mentioned, we want to thank some donors. We want to thank Crenson Auto Mall because they've already stepped forward and given some money tonight to really help us get going. And we appreciate their support and their partnership that they've had with us. So but maybe the $10,000 level isn't your level. Maybe it's the $5,000 level. The $5,000 level, with that level, as you click and you hit the donate button and you help us get that thermometer up into the air, we've got the support youth arts programs such as the BAM, the only arts program in the region helping 7th graders learn art disciplines and use art to make changes in the community. Really a special arts program that you can be a part of. You can help support right there with a $5,000 donation if you can do that. Our next level tonight is the $2,500 level. We call this the cover the heat in the building for the entire winter. And I think we all know that a winter in Duluth is nothing to scoff at. And so it's important that we keep this place heated as soon as that doesn't happen. So if you can give at the $2,500 level, you are keeping us operating through the winter months when we need a place like this, like when we need the Lincoln Park building to stay out of the weather and still have a beautiful place to create art and create beauty. Our next level is the $1,000 level. And now the $1,000 level, we talked a little bit earlier about this time right now. We talked about artists. We talked about paying them for their artwork. The $1,000 level is our artist stipend level. It will help artists to show their work in one of our galleries. At a time when artists need support, in a time where going out to shows and galleries is difficult to do, we need to show support for artists. And that's what we can do with a $1,000 donation tonight. That's the type of work that you'll be doing as you continue to help support what we do in our operating expenses and our repairs. At the $500 level, you're helping pay for an artist to teach a class like Chesley's tonight, or an online in-person event workshop, all these type of things. That is so valuable. Like what you're going to get tonight, part of that is through support that we can even provide that and tag that onto the end of this event tonight. So please give $500 as well. It'll be a great and appreciated level. In fact, we also want to thank Love Creamery and Duluth Pottery as well, 2 other donors who came forward and really in advance knew what we were trying to do here tonight and wanted to donate and give to help us. Our next level we want to highlight is the $250 level. This is going to be helping with the reoccurring cost of technology needed to stream classes. I think we can all agree the cost of technology is very important to be paying at this time. We want to stay connected with you. What we're doing here tonight is part of technology, and we don't want to miss out on opportunities to reach people who are ready, who are aching for art and fun, beautiful learning experiences that aren't the same drudgery of Zoom meetings that are just about quarterly reports and strategic plans. Like we need to have art available through technology as well. It just brings life to us when we're all separated in this way. This also helps provide an online exhibition like Smartify. So that's what your $250 donation can do. It's so great. We also want to thank London Rain Salon and Vicros Distillery as well for their vision and their willingness to come forward and give a donation in advance of tonight's Fund a Need moment in support of what we do. And finally, we like to call this the $100 Keep the Lights On level. Help us keep our day-to-day expenses going with just a simple $100 donation. And if you've already given, give one more. What's one more $100 donation? Come on, let's throw it all in there together and let's make sure that we're keeping the lights on, we're keeping the services going, and that's what a $100 donation. You can absolutely add that, tag that into, round up your bill tonight when you're like, I came in an easy $650. I'm just going to round it up to $1,000 tonight with a donation tonight. That's the type of thing we want because we want to take the momentum that you have given us with your donations and we want to take it forward for the next year. We want to continue to make waves in our community and in a really positive way. And I want to, before I go on and thank the board of directors, who I really am excited to thank, and to welcome back Robin, I do want to say, whether, maybe I didn't ask for the level you want to give. Maybe you want to give more. Maybe you want to give less. Maybe you want to give something in between that I didn't ask for. Please go in and click the other button. Find where you can put in any amount that you want to donate tonight. Put in whatever you can give, because every dollar makes a difference, and your donations make a difference for us and for the work that we do. So thank you in advance for what you have done. You can still make donations. I'm assuming we're going to keep it open until 9 o'clock, just like the bidding. So please get those donations in. Phone a friend, email a friend, tell them about what we're doing here tonight, and see if they'll give a donation as well. I finally want to thank the board of directors, who with their vision also came forward. A number of the board of directors came forward to help us get the ball rolling with a big donation at the beginning of the night to help us get everything going and put money in there. And, I'm going to pass the mic, the virtual microphone, over to Robin. And I just want to say thank you, Robin, and thank you to the board of directors.
And I'm thrilled to pick up the virtual mic. Is this how we do it?
Yeah, that's right.
And thank you, Andy. Oops, dropped the mic. But before we get to a drop the mic moment, I get to make the wonderful announcement that $28,000, which was that rounded off? It is now $29,300 and rising. So again, that other amount that Andy spoke of, the other is good. Other is very good. Whatever suits you, whatever works for you. He mentioned our board of directors making donations. I have to say proudly that it's full participation by the board of directors. And that's actually something for those who know nonprofits like Andy and Inflatable Partners knows very well. A good nonprofit, a good practice is those who have board of directors who have 100% giving. So we're one of those. And we do it not just because it's something we're required to do or because it's a good practice, but because we believe in it. We want to do it. So again, other or specific amounts, they're all fine, whatever it is that works for you. Christina, you want to add anything to that? Or?
I do. I first want to say that I love our board of directors. We cannot do our work without the vision and support of everyone who is seated on that board. And we come up with some crazy ideas, don't you think, Robin?
Ooh, me? I would never have a crazy idea. I can't imagine what you're talking about.
And it's such a joy to love your job and to do what we're doing in our community. It is so important that we be here on the other side of the pandemic, on the other side as our community is working towards creating a new way of being, as we are really breaking ourselves open and unweaving all of our unconscious bias and looking at all of the ways in which we believed the world worked, and now having an understanding that there's a lot of learning that is coming out of the murder of George Floyd, and how powerful art will be to help us really understand who we are as a community and what we are to become. And so every dollar here tonight is going to help the Duluth Art Institute pivot, support artists of color, support artists that have been traditional and longtime friends of our organization, and really be in that spot where we have been with a legacy, like the cornerstone of art in Northeast Minnesota. Every dollar is going to help us stay there, improve, get better, and really engage our community. Robin, I want you to talk about the Birkenstein Art Movement.
So it's interesting you mentioned birch tree and Thunderbird. I'll tell you about Thunderbird later, my connection. But birch is, the Birkenstein is my mother's maiden name, and it means birch stone. Jewish refugees from the Spanish Inquisition who landed in Germany had to take the names of trees and birds, and hence birch stone got to be our family name. So if you do meet a Birkenstein, by the way, it's a relative of mine. We really are the only family in the world. My middle name, by the way, is Burke, short for Birkenstein. So this was not my idea, Christina. For those who do know, my mother, in addition to being an artist, was a civil rights leader, an officer of the Congress of Racial Equality and the NAACP in Chicago, mostly on housing and school segregation issues that we're still talking about today. But she took my brother and me on protests and marches and sit-ins when we were very young, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. And it made an indelible imprint on me. At the same time, she was practicing, a social revolution in teaching many people at our house, gang members. She invited the original vice lords to our house. Yes, she did, to participate as part of a settlement sort of house, a la Jane Addams, learning where she would teach them to paint and teach them about physics and math. So in that spirit, both inspired by her artwork and also by her activism, the staff came up with the Birkenstein Arts Movement, and that is to teach middle school students activism really through art, pretty much mirroring the work that she did for so many years, and that did make a difference. And it's amazing walking in, being part of the class and seeing not just the work they're creating artistically, but hearing their minds as they grapple with some of the issues facing, just being a kid today, being society today, and looking for solutions, such as whether or not they can congregate in Lincoln Park. That's an issue. There are people who don't want them to do that. And they have solutions for doing so. And they go through it methodically, which is part of the program too, to learn what may work, what may not work. Not every movement is successful. So sometimes you learn by trial and error. I'll just end with this part, which is Jean Birkenstein Washington's favorite saying. She didn't coin it, but she quoted it a lot. Was good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment, preferably somebody else's, not your own. So it's all about learning, though, and not making the same mistakes twice, not making somebody else's mistake, and not making your own mistake twice, and going on and improving the world.
Thanks, Robin.
Yes.
I'm inspired by your mother's work and her ability to make movements happen, to make change in the community. She's done a lot of great work, and it's an honor to actually have her be the focal point of a youth leadership program where youth are learning artistic disciplines. They're learning to fail and be okay with failing and trying again and picking up new ways of understanding success. So it's an honor to honor your mother in this way. So thank you for bringing her to us.
Right. And we should say, of course, she's passed on,
Yes.
But she lives on too.
Yes. I'm being asked to talk about our raffle items. We have added 3 raffle items to our auction. I think one is a $10 entry, one is a $20 entry, and one is a $5 entry. When you donate those amounts for whichever piece you're interested in, it is an actual entry, and we will draw tonight the winner, and we'll announce that winner tomorrow on our social media. So we have a book, A Keen Homage by Vern Northrup, who is also on our board. Vern was selected to have a photography exhibition at the Duluth Art Institute last January of 2019. And one of the things that I really wanted to see come out of this was a book. So the Duluth Art Institute became a book publisher. And instead of a gallery guide, we helped Vern create a book where all Anishinaabe people were in on the project. So I wrote an essay, Linda Lagarde Grover wrote an essay, Vern, of course, is the artist. He's Anishinaabe. And then the graphic designer for the book is an Anishinaabe woman. And so we were really happy to bring together all of this talent to create a book that really told a beautiful story about how the earth teaches us. So for $10, you can be entered into a drawing and you can win this book. So we're going to hop over to a George Morrison print, which we just actually got today. So I was able to give Briand Morrison a call. This is George's son, and say, hey, is it possible for us to make a print of this really eclectic, wonderful sketch that your father did of a clothesline? This is the clothesline that was in the backyard of George Morrison's house when he summered in Provincetown. And George Morrison was one of the original artists in the Provincetown Arts Colony with Jackson Pollock and many others. And so this is out of his sketchbook. There are only 4 prints in existence, and one of them is here. And for $20, you can enter this drawing for this print. It's an 8.5 by 11, and I think it would look fabulous anywhere you want to put it. I think it would really spruce up any room in your house or in your office. And you know, I want to jump over to Alyssa Swanson. She donated this beautiful ink drawing for our drawing auction tonight. Alyssa has a show coming up at the DAI, and she is also on our staff. She is actually the person who is behind the curtain running this entire program tonight. And I want you to pay special close attention to this particular artist. She was selected by our panelists to show at the DAI, and she is amazing. So this is her ink drawing that is available for a $5 donation, and you are entered into a drawing for this. It's beautiful. She sent a whole selection of choices, and it was hard to choose, and I'm really happy that we are looking at this one. It is really beautiful. Is it time for Robin? So I want to get Robin back on, and I want all of you to donate for the drawing. I want all of you to donate just to give. I want to see our bidding numbers go up. You know, this is really about supporting the Duluth Art Institute and what we are doing in the community. I just can't even, it would take so many hours for me to even talk about the really deep impact and all of the ways that we are working with community. Oh, hi, Ramona.
Yeah, it wasn't time for me to come back before, but now it is. Just kidding.
And here you are.
Here I am. I thought that was very sweet when Robin said it's always time to bring Ramona back. It has been.
Not if you were busy bidding back there. So.
Well, I am busy keeping.
You were quite interested in Steve Ryle's whiskey tasting, yes?
I am, because his wife was my boss while I spent time working at the TV station in Canal Park. Barbara was the first person to hire me in Duluth as a journalist and give me an opportunity. And I've met her and her husband and Steve, and I've seen his infamous whiskey cabinet. I have not tasted the whiskey, but my father is keeping tabs on that for us, for the family tonight. He's like, he's the one that's watching that really hard, like a hawk. Right now, I'm watching the money, the cash donation, and the funds keep going up. We are at $29,325.
Wow. Wow.
I know. It's amazing. So a big thank you to the sponsors, which again are Krenzel Auto Mall, Love Creamery, Duluth Pottery, Vikra Distillery, London Rain Color Salon. Without them tonight, this couldn't have happened. And thank you to all of you tonight for being here and for supporting such an amazing institute that does so much for the community.
Right. And a reminder that the auction remains open till 9 p.m., even after we disappear from your virtual screen. If we do, I don't know, maybe we'll stay here forever, right? Is that the way it works?
I don't know. We need to ask Al Gore.
Again, as political as we'll get, yes. But you can't ignore the politics, and you can't ignore 2020 has been the craziest year of all of our lives, or so far. And so, when we go back to all the things that the Art Institute does, the Duluth Art Institute does, and the ways Andy, of course, gave the word pivot that everybody uses, and we've pivoted to do different things. We have Smartify, we have online programs like this, and more to come as we're thinking of more things to do. And of course, the classes, which now are no longer limited by geography. But, nobody knows when all this is going to end, right? What will the new normal be, So you will, I'm sure, always be able to come upstairs at the depot and see some beautiful and moving artwork that we will provide to you. But there'll be a new normal too. Maybe it'll be in your phone. Maybe it'll be 3D in your phone. Maybe it'll jump out of your phone. Who knows? But we're going to be a part of that. And that's one of the reasons why, we're here today, and we need to stay here. 114 years. You could say, who would have thought 114 years ago that we'd be doing something like this? But remember, 114 years ago, they were just about to go into a different pandemic, and they had to make adaptations for that. I don't know how many people have you seen the picture of somebody from Duluth Superior back then? There's a bunch of people wearing masks.
Yes.
And one woman has her nose out. And it's like you want to yell at her, And so, but I'm not going to be trying to say more things change, stay the same. It's just that challenges that seemed insurmountable at one point may come back even harder. And yet we are, prepared to deal with them because art has to go on.
And in these trying times, nights like this where we can come together and have some fun are so needed. I think back to a year ago, and I never knew that life was going to be like this. So like you said, life in 2020, we'll never forget this. This is, it's a different type of ball game here. But what I do want to say is that this program will remain live for the next week. So this program will be live. People can come back and share it with others if you think that somebody might want to watch and see what the DAI does in the community and see if it might give them some inspiration to continue to donate to such a worthy cause. And I know you yourself, Robin, are, you're just so amazing to this institute. So they're really lucky to have you.
Well, I'm lucky to have them. We're definitely lucky to have Christina and the entire staff. So, and thank you for volunteering for tonight too. This would really be impossible without you.
Oh, thank you. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of the Duluth Art Institute. I will say at past events, I was volunteering and I was doing all the table placemats and putting them on each and every table. So a virtual event, you don't have to do that. So there is some things there's some perks, but I can't wait until we can get back together in person. And we should, so now we're going to be wrapping it up because coming up in about 3 minutes, Chesley is going to be doing her Heart of the Head Wrap webinar directly following this program.
So can you show your head wrap again?
Yes.
Because I don't have one and you wouldn't want to see it anyway.
This is my scarf that I'm going to be creating a Heart of the Head Wrap out of. I'm super excited. I've been waiting for this for a month. I'm so, because Chesley, when Christina introduced me to her work, I couldn't wait. And I hope to see some great bidding tonight as well. This auction is open until 9:00 tonight.
All right.
So keep bidding.
Keep bidding. Yeah. So again, you are welcome to join Chesley for the head wrap program. But right now we need to say goodbye to, Andy just disappeared from my screen in any case, but Andy Eimholt from Flatable, we really appreciate his work and the work of their entire company, who, again, I've known for years, and what they do on behalf of nonprofits is truly appreciated. Christina, on behalf of the entire staff, or I will say you and the entire staff, on behalf of the board and Ramona and me, we extend our heartfelt thanks to you. And Ramona, you got to learn to do head wraps. Yes, Christina?
Mention to keep 2 browsers open, one for the workshop and one for the auction.
All right. You'll need to keep you'll want to keep 2 browsers open, one for the workshop and one for the auction, which continues to 9 p.m. I'm Robin Washington, and you are Ramona?
I'm Ramona Moroses, your MC tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. It was a true pleasure. I cherish these fun nights where we can still be a community together.
Absolutely. Thank you, all of you.